So those are your options, and I'm glad that you are thinking of sorting that out. But when somebody passes on, please let us act as quickly as we can. Within 3 years, we should finish sorting out the estate of a person who has passed. Within a year or so, get an attorney. If the person did not make a will, get an attorney to apply for a grant of administration, which means that the person did not make a will, so the property is going to go to the person's next of kin. The person made a will, you're going to get an attorney to probate the will. And the grant of administration or the grant of probate, when you get those documents, immediately you can sit in the shoe of the person who died, and you can do anything that that person who died was able, that the person was able to do. I see someone is asking, what is the amount payable for transfer tax? When you are selling property, the transfer tax now is 2%. 2% of the sale price or 2% of the value. I say 2% of the value because maybe you are selling a property for $10 million. The transfer tax will be 2%, and that is paid by the person who is selling it. But the government through the stamp office, they don't have to accept that the property is worth $10 million. They might say they're not going to say it's less. But they might say, oh, you're selling a house in Mona for $10 million. We know Mona houses are valued more than that. So they could go and look at the house and say, even though you're selling it for $10 million, it's valued at $50 million. So you need to pay the 2% transfer tax on the $50 million. Even though they can't tell you what to sell your house for, they can tell you how much to pay the transfer tax on. And you don't have to sell your property for what it's worth. You can sell it for much more than what it's worth. So you can say, suppose you value it and it's valued $10 million, you can ask $20 million. If somebody wants to buy it for 20, fine. If they don't want to buy it, then take it or leave it. But you can't complain that Mr. Brown has a valuation for $5 million and he's asking $7 million. That's Mr. Brown's prerogative. That's his right. He doesn't have to ask for the value. He can ask for any price when he's selling property. That's Mr. Brown's right to do. Numbers to call 876-922-411-325, and the text line is 387-3183. And I want to talk to the children of persons who have sold properties. We see quite a few situations where, for example, Mr. Black dies and Mr. Black sells property to different persons. Mr. Black dies and the children will come forward and say Mr. Black should not have sold the property or he sold it too cheap. This is Mr. Black's prerogative. If he wants to sell the $10 million property for $1 million, you can't stop it. And you can't reverse it after he has died. So what you need to do as children is be able to talk to your relatives about selling the land, because sometimes people sell the land because they're desperate, they need the money. But sometimes if as relatives we'll step in and we'll stand by and we'll give the assistance, maybe they would not need to sell. But having sold, we can't reverse it and come to say that they should not have sold the property. Or to say to persons who have bought the property years later that we want it back. And I'm seeing a little bit of that, which is why I'm saying to persons having bought properties, make sure you have the documentation. Buy it to a lawyer, make sure you have the receipt. So when his children come forward after, you have documentation. And make sure that in Mr. Brown's right. That's another part of the problem too. We are saying, oh, I'm from the community and I know that it's Mr. Brown land because his father died and left it and he was the son. But remember, Mr. Brown's father had 5 children. He might be the only one alive. But what happened to those who have died and their shares? So be careful how you buy land. And it's something we are saying is causing a lot of conflict. Because we are very informal. You can't be informal in buying something which is making our lives. Land is the biggest investment, the most money we're going to spend most of the time, not even a car unless you buy one of those really expensive ones. But most of us, land is what is the most expensive investment that we're going to make, and putting up that house is the biggest value most of us will have. So I beg of persons, do not just go and buy and get a receipt and a book leaf and be satisfied. Get your lawyer to help you. Remember that there's a legal aid clinic for those of us in Kingston and the surrounding areas. There's a legal aid clinic at the Bethel Baptist Church in Halfway Tree. And if you go on the Bethel Baptist Church website as well, YouTube page, you see where Miss Finley and two other persons, some other attorneys, with session the other day. And it would be useful to go on the Bethel Baptist Church YouTube page and to look at the session Miss Finley did about land and ownership. Very, very good educational material there. But I was just saying, there's a legal aid clinic at the Bethel Baptist Church every Saturday morning between 10 and 12, and the fee is just $500 just to see a lawyer and to get proper advice. I mean, I would beg of persons, get proper advice before we do things. Put things in writing. I know sometimes when things seem to be going, oh, it's my friend, I know him from a long time. And we know what can happen. You might buy it with your spouse, the closest relative sometimes you can have. You can buy it with your parents, and things go south after a time. So even when it's your close relatives, don't be too informal with these things. Even if your closest of relatives, I beg of persons, make sure that you are formal in how you deal with things. Because when the problems come later, sometimes they are very, very hard. And many of us, we go to court with our very, very good cases and we lose them because we did not do things properly. My father died and left 2 acres of land. His sister came from the USA, take away the house and the land. And has put me out of the house. Interesting. Alright? This is exactly what I'm talking about, Father died, left 2 acres of land. His sister came from the USA, take away the house and the land. I was the only one that was there, was him looking after him. She put me out. And we say, why all these conflicts can take place? So I'm asking this person, go and see a lawyer right away. Go and see a lawyer right away to see how you can resolve it. And if Daddy had sorted out the situation before he died, you probably would not be in this predicament. So I'm asking that, speaking to the older persons as well, who are very afraid to let the young persons know about what is happening. We are not going to live forever. I like when I see somebody come into my office and they come with their child or their grandchild because I know the information is continuing. If that person should pass, there's somebody who will know what is happening, which is why I say even to the older person, let the children know the pegs, show them the boundary pegs. One is at that apple tree, one is at the planter tree. Let them know the boundary pegs, let them know, because when you pass now and the neighbors start moving these boundary pegs, the person will know, no, but Daddy showed me that iron peg right there. And as best as possible, you can fence your properties. Fence them way after you have bought them. When first time when you look at in the country areas where we used to live, you see all these stone walls. People don't even know how to pack these stone walls again, but those good boundary walls. Because when a surveyor would go to survey, you would know exactly where the boundary was, because you see the proper wall. Show these things to the young people. That's what Deuteronomy is talking about when he said when the Lord said, teach these things to your children. Talk to them when you lie down and when they get up. Put these things on your doorpost. Put them on your forehead. Put the information in the children, this generation. We're talking about them that they are lost. But we are the ones who are assisting them in their lostness. I beg of you, let us keep the conversation going. This is Land Solution.
Coast to Coast Concrete, the high-quality concrete for fencing, roofing, foundation, and road surfacing. Call 876-754-7472. The time by Coast to Coast Concrete is
3 o'clock.
Kerry, you know what you learn today, don't it?
Yeah, man. Oh, you ready for yours?
Yeah, but when you know which path to start.
It's easy, man. Just follow me. I'm reach 17 years old and can't read all right. You can't get a learners. But first, you can pass the road code test. You can make an appointment for the test by emailing roadcodetest@ntw.gov.jm or by calling 876-754-1900. Or you can visit any examination depot. After you pass the test, you pay $1,800 at the nearest tax office, and just like that, you're good to go.
the Island Traffic Authority, an entity for road safety good. Nature's Truth Supplements contains all the vitamins in a bottle for the entire family. No additives, no artificial chemicals. A genuine vegan formula. Available in leading pharmacies island-wide. Distributed by Vadmar Distributors, 43 King Street, Linstead. Nature's Truth for a healthier Jamaica. Telephone 876-574-8229.
Power 106 FM milestone this December, 30 years at Going Strong. It is our Pearl Jubilee. From our shores to foreign lands, from hurricanes to floods, from music to talk, from sporting events to the country's Diamond Jubilee, and every celebration and activity in between, we have covered it all. Power 106 FM, a Pearl in Jamaican radio. 30 years of service to our nation. Let's celebrate together.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with, anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land. You've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5, 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions: 876-387-3183, 876-387-3183. The website is landsolutionsja.com, landsolutionsja.com. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com, gloria@landsolutionsja.com. If you wish to get in touch with the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, they're headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree. They have an office as well at Shop 6 upstairs, the JN Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. In fact, every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., a lawyer is on duty at the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. And the number to call the Ocho Rios office for those, well, let's remind you first of the regular office numbers: 876-908-1950. That's 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518, 876-908-3518. If you wish to call the Ocho Rios office directly, it's 876-974-6083, 876-974-6083. Once again, here's attorney at law, Gloria Brown.
Thank you, Dervan. Please remember the numbers to call: 922-411-325, 876-922-411-325. I was saying that I'm unsure about the opening remarks for clarity. If someone's partner dies and there's a joint tenant relationship and the person did not remove the other half's name and went and got married, if that person should pass on without the first partner's name being removed, would the second, I guess you mean, would the second wife have any claim? All right. So when a person, so for example, two persons own property as joint tenants and one should die, the survivor does nothing about the taking off the name of the person who died, and the survivor gets married again, then the survivor dies. Even though the person did not take off the name of the joint tenant who died first, the person would still be the owner of the entire property, because the person who is entitled can take that name. So Mr. and Mrs. Brown own property. Mrs. Brown died, their joint tenant Mrs. Brown died. Even though Mr. Brown has not removed Mrs. Brown's name, Mr. Brown is still the only owner now. So when Mr. Brown dies, if he does not make a will, and he has one child, his new wife would get 2/3 of this property, and the child would get 1/3. And remember, this is if he does not make a will. If Mr. Brown has 2 or more children and he does not make a will, the new wife would get a half of the property and its children. If he has 5, 10, 15 children, the children would share the other half. And we know that if it continues, if he doesn't have a child, what would happen, etc. If he doesn't have a child. But the fact that he has not noted the marriage, that he has not taken off the name of the dead person, that does not mean he's not the full owner. He's still the full owner as long as the wife dies before the other person dies before him, and they were joint tenants. The numbers to call: 876-922-4113, 5. Any question you have about land ownership, please give me a call. And the same listener had sent a message. I'm not sure if I looked at it. A man died and left in his will the land with Hosi and his wife occupied by themselves over 30 years, left it for another person, only stating that the widow should occupy until she sees fit. But after her death, whoever he has willed to should take over. If the property belongs to the gentleman alone, then he has the right to do that. He has the right to say, even though the wife has lived there with him for 120 years, and it was his property alone, he has the right to do that. What the wife might need to establish is that they really own the property jointly, because he had an interest in the property when they got married by his actions. The fact that she helped to build the house that is on it, that she did all of this then, it could be implied that she got an interest in the property, he gave her an interest in the property when he married her or a year after, or etc. So she could go that route. But encouraging persons, and this especially applies to ladies, do not sit down and work hard on these properties and not ensuring that your name is on the title. This is 2022, not 1955. In 2022, we should know if our name is on a title, and we should ensure that our name is on a title. Don't let person say because you're abroad, okay, you couldn't sign it or so on. Okay, papers can go abroad in a day. You can send a paper to somebody by courier this morning, and by tomorrow or the day after, they have it right in their living room, delivered right at the gate. So please don't use that as an excuse. We know some of the problems some of our persons abroad have. Some of us have gone away and we can't come back right now for various reasons. That is not going to stop you from getting your name on the property that you have bought. Put your name on the property. Some of us, we don't have the documentation abroad. We know the situation. So we are afraid to go to a notary public to sign. You can get anybody to witness it for you, and that person can then go to a notary. So, for example, you're buying property, you're abroad, you don't have IDs, you don't have info, you don't have necessary documentation to go to a notary public, or you don't want to go before one. You can ask lawyer, please prepare the papers, lawyer, where my person or my friend can witness it for me, and then that friend will go before the notary and sign. So what that means, okay? I'm buying a property, I'm abroad, and I don't want to go before a notary for various reasons. So I asked my friend, my friend at work, can you witness this for me? And if you witness it for me, will you go to a notary now and to sign to say, yes, you saw me sign this in front of you? We call it a probate clause, and that will be enough. Sometimes you use this option because sometimes the persons are older persons in nursing homes. They can't move out to go to a notary. They can't afford to bring a notary into the home. They could get one of the caregivers in the home to witness it for them. And then the caregiver will go to the notary and sign a document and sign a part of the document to say, I witnessed John Brown sign this document in my presence. And of course, you have to ensure that John Brown has capacity. What do I mean by that? The person has capacity. Make sure the person is not ill and lacks the mental capacity. The person doesn't have Alzheimer's or dementia. Because if persons don't have that kind of capacity, they're not supposed to witness documents. So you can't come and say, Miss Brown, my head is running, my head is going, so I wanted to make her sign this paper. No. You might have to go to court and get an order to be appointed as a guardian for that person with the power to be able to sign documents for the person. All of those you'd have to get an order from the court to do. But if somebody has dementia, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the mental capacity, they want to understand things sometimes when the sun is up, sometimes they don't understand things at night. Alright, so all of those things you have to before you can go to any lawyer or anybody to sign things for persons. And another thing, if you know your relatives have those abroad listening, you know your relatives have dementia, Alzheimer's, take them to a doctor and get the doctor to get something certified, get a doctor to give you some documentation. So when later on you hear that they made a will and will you out, you have the evidence to show, A, we have certification, we have something from the doctor to say our relative did not have capacity, or when you hear that the relative got married to somebody and you know they never had the capacity to get married. So get all these things, get doctors to certify these things. Okay, get the doctor to certify these things, to certify the situation, the condition of your relatives. So if anything should happen later on, you're protected. And I'm encouraging the children, especially abroad who have the older relatives here, encourage them to do some kind of estate planning. All right, so you're here helping your parents. You are the ones, the children who have built the house, but you know you have to ask strangers sometimes to look after them. Protect your interests. Encourage your relatives before they get ill and don't have the capacity. Encourage them to sort out, to make the will, and I prefer when person what we call do inter-divorce transactions while they are alive. I prefer when they transfer the property to the children. Therefore, you know that I'm always encouraging the parents to take a life interest. Because sometimes some of us children get very troublesome. Okay, mama put our name on the title and immediately we become owner. And think we can dictate, or mama put the name on the will and she don't even die yet, and we start change the dresser from near the window to near to the kitchen to say that's what we wanted. Okay, a lot of us put in claims even before we have the right to, which is why I'm encouraging parents, do your estate planning. And many of us have good children, so we don't have to worry. But do your estate planning, and I always encourage the parents to take a life interest. What that means, I would say the title is yours for life, the property is yours for life. As long as you're alive, the property is yours. And after you have passed, then it will go to the children. And when we do that, we let the children sign what we call a disclaimer, sign a document to say, while mama is alive, if she sells the property, it's her right. If she mortgages the property, it's her right. Whatever proceeds she gets from those that are hers, she doesn't have to account to us for anything. So that's the kind of provision that we're encouraging our clients, to our listeners, to sit down and discuss these things with your lawyers. Discuss them with your lawyers, and don't just leave things to chance. Don't say, oh, you know, it will sort itself out. It doesn't. It gets more complex. So that land is not an easy thing in Jamaica to sort out. Land is difficult, and every day people die, there's more and more troubles that we have arising. So I'm encouraging my listeners, do not allow things to just go and leave it and say, I'm going to sort it out tomorrow. Let us be wise. And I want to remind persons, if anybody in your will should pass or make over the will, the executor should pass, a witness should pass, the person you have left the property to, the beneficiary should pass. I beg of persons, please make over the will. And remember, if the person has made a will and the person dies, nothing can be done about the will again except probate it. You can't come and say, Miss Brown, Mama died and left John as the executor, and I want to change John. John can give up the executorship, yes. John can renounce. And remember, person making wills that we are encouraging you, make the executor the persons you are willing it to, or persons you have a lot of confidence in. Sometimes persons are willing property to relatives, but they don't have confidence in relatives, so you want to put somebody with them. Okay, but make sure, as best as possible, because sometimes you choose persons to be executors, and those persons really don't have any interest in making sure that the will is probated, because they say, it's not my business, not my property. And sometimes you can't bring some of the executors too, because sometimes the beneficiaries get problems. But we'll continue with that. Okay, as soon as we come back from the break, this is Gloria Brown on Land Solution.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now.
Are you in the manufacturing and distribution sector having trouble finding quality heavy-duty equipment for your daily operations? Well, look no further. Robinson's Forklift Repairs and Services is here to help. They specialize in rentals, repairs and servicing, and the sale of new used forklifts ranging from 2.5 to 18 tons. They also have skid steers, backhoes, and wrecking services available. Their experienced staff is ready to serve you. Visit 19 Retirement Crescent or call 876-754-4712. The Agri-Investment Corporation, an agency under the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, contributes to a viable agricultural sector by mobilizing finance and facilitating agribusiness investment. Products and services include providing agricultural lands for lease, developing business plans, connecting investors to local and overseas markets, and much more. Call them 923-0086 to discuss how they can assist you to manage your agribusiness, or visit their website, agroinvest.gov.jm, for more details. AgriInvest, facilitating agribusiness investments. The Issa Manning Cup schoolboy football competition is in full swing, and Power Play will bring you live reports and updates on the football matches. Listen to every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM. Live reports will be brought to you by Chad Distributed, KFC, and Ellis Duane and Company Limited.
It's the final segment of Land Solutions for today. Here's your opportunity. Get in those questions you've wanted to ask. Maybe you've been a little shy or unsure. Well, here's your opportunity. The lines are still open. 876-922-4113-5. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land. Now would be a good time for you to call 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876 387 3183. 876 387 3183. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged to call ahead instead of turning up at the offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. The numbers to call 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. And remember, there's a lawyer on duty every Thursday at the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. And the number to call the Ocho Rios office directly, 876-974-6083. 876-974-6083. And again, remember, a lawyer is on duty every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. Once again, here's attorney at law, Gloria Brown.
Thank you, Dervan. And remember, listeners, you can send me a text message or WhatsApp message at 387-3183, 876-387-3183, or send an email to gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. And right now, if you want to talk to me on the telephone, the numbers are 876-922-4113-5. So I'm encouraging my listeners, as I said before, to get a title for the land. Survey it now. Survey it while the parents are still alive. Get them to survey it so they can look about the title. Remember, you can put any number of persons on a title. You have 50 children, you can put the 50 of them on a title. Might not be a good idea though, especially if the land is small. But if that's what you have and that's what you want to do, then you're free to do that. So you can put any number of persons on a title, just as always said at the beginning. Even though the piece of land you have might be square, if you can show that you are paying taxes for that little piece, or the little piece is not a part of a bigger piece, you have had it for more than 7 years, we're going to encourage you to survey it and let us assist you in getting a title. We're encouraging our listeners right now, title is your priority. Move towards getting a title for your land. This is what we're going to be encouraging persons, okay, in the new year as well, and trying to push that a little bit more. When you have a title, when a person walks out of our office with a title, that person walks tall. When you own a piece of the rock, it gives you a sense of ownership and a sense of responsibility. And many of us, if we could give some of our children, could pass on a little piece of the land with a title, some of our children, maybe they would look at life a little differently. Maybe to give them a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more permanence in terms of how they feel, some obligation to want to contribute positively to society. So I'm encouraging persons, and while I'm at that too, I'm also encouraging persons, the family land, and you have a lot of children, don't rush to sell. We know some of us were getting some offers for our land that is, that is too good to pass up. But when you have sold it a lot of time, what we have sold, we can't buy back, a piece of family, and sometimes you have to take another road when you want to go back there, because when you see what persons have done with it and you see the house, you don't want to pass it, because when you see your stomach hurt you. So if you don't have to sell, don't sell land together and sell it because I want to buy a car. You can't sell land to buy a car, because car depreciates in value as soon as you drive out of the parking lot. Even if it's a brand new car, the value has gone down. Don't sell the land if you don't have to, especially if you have children. Encourage them to value it and not to just sell it unless they sell something else. Like I encourage the listeners out there in the diaspora. You live abroad, you're not going to come back. I would encourage persons like in your situation to look to sell the family land, sort it out to the rest of the relatives, where you can use it to buy something where you are living. But I believe in selling land to buy land. The most if you're not buying land, the most you probably should be able to set up piece to do is to educate the children, because they are more valuable than land. And they, with good education, be able to buy more than land for you. And while I'm on that, I want to also encourage my listeners. Your children, let us please stop telling the children not to borrow student loan. Okay, I'm so tired of children coming to the office, they want to get a little job. Okay, they have the well qualified, they have the CAPE, they have the C-Sex subjects. Why don't you go to university? We don't have the money to go. Why don't you borrow a loan? I never will borrow. Okay, that is backward thinking. I'm saying to persons, you're going to work another 5, 10, 15 years to get a degree when you could borrow a loan and get that degree in 3 years. Have a good job and pay off the loan. We have to get that mindset out of our children. Parents, please stop telling your children don't borrow. Okay, please stop doing that. Okay, borrow to improve yourself. Borrow to educate yourself. Borrow to buy a house. By the time you finish building a house, you can't even go up the first step. If you're going to wait to build it because they're going to build it secretly because they're not borrowing. I get too much of that. And it's a mindset that we have to change. We have to change. I guess it's probably coming out of a lot of our history and, it's the trauma we have gone through as part of our history. But I'm encouraging my listeners. I'm begging my listeners. Encourage the children to get the student loan. A lot of people borrowing the student loan have money in the bank more than could send the children to school 10 times. You know how many people they have to turn them down when they apply for student loan, because they are the children of big professionals who are trying to get the loan because they believe it's better to borrow this loan and keep more money in the bank. And those of us who don't have any money in the bank are the ones who are telling the children don't borrow the loan. Let them borrow the loan to go and get a degree in computing and become a lawyer, a nurse, a teacher. Let them borrow, get the profession so they can, instead of working the little 15,000 a week, they can be working the 100,000 a week and pay off the loan. Here, person say we have to pay, we're not borrowing the money because we have to pay it back. But is borrow, you borrow it, you have to pay it back. It's not a grant. And what's wrong in paying back when you borrow? Most of us are where we are today. So when persons come and say, Miss Boy, I can help my child to pay for school. And I say, well, I don't take student loan. I don't want them to borrow, I don't want them to have any debt. But I say, but this student, why should I give them my money when I have to borrow student loan? And that's what has put me where I am. So I'm encouraging my listeners, stop telling your children not to borrow student loan. If you can get the loan, let them go to school straight into university. And don't take that break. Because the studies show that most of them will take the break. Don't go back. They can move straight from high school, straight into nursing, straight into teaching, straight into becoming a mechanic, straight into going to school to become a hairdresser, whatever they are going to become a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. If you can move them straight from high school before they get distracted on the working world, let them move from high school straight into a career. So we can break the cycle of poverty and get some of them to really be on the path to success. I'm begging my listeners. A lot of them, if they had gone straight into school, a lot of them would avoid some of what we call the mix-up. Let them move into university and get the career and have a different mindset. And while I'm on it different, I'm going to encourage the persons, please send your children to church. We are from a generation that went to church, and what can happen to this one would we ever know. I was talking to a young man the other day, and he was telling me he's in high school, second form. And he was shocked because they had to pay Amazing Grace. And he was shocked. He was saying to me that, that children don't know Amazing Grace. He was shocked that his classmates are prominent high school. So a lot of us we take for granted, listeners. grandparents, parents, a lot to take for granted, you know. We have a generation who does not know God. And anytime you have a generation coming up who does not know God, we're going to be in trouble. Okay? That's why a lot of these young people can look at somebody and just kill them and it means nothing. They do not know God. And a generation that does not know God is a generation in crisis. I know there are persons listening who don't believe, but that is my belief. That is my belief. I'm an encouraging person. Children can get up any day and say, oh, we're not going to church, but they can't get up and say they're not going to school. Why should they have a choice in terms of going to church? And they don't have one in terms with this generation. And I said it before in this program, it doesn't make sense for us to work hard and acquire the land. And we're leaving it for children who have no sense of direction. Why work night and day to build a house when we have children who don't have any guidance, who don't know right from wrong, who will sell it tomorrow or give it away tomorrow or gamble it away tomorrow, or let somebody trick them out of it tomorrow. Let us raise a generation that we can be proud of. A generation when we leave, we can know that we're leaving things in good hands. So it's not enough to just work hard and to say, yes, I'm leaving it for the children. Make sure we are raising sensible, educated children who can think critically. Will know when persons will not be able to scam them and who will not be scamming people. Does not make sense to work night and day and we don't have time to raise our children properly. If we don't even go to church, let us send them. So they can know that there is a God. As the psalmist said, it's the fool who says in his heart that there is no God. And we have a generation who is raising like that, encouraging persons. So what am I saying to us today as we end Land Solutions this afternoon? And saying to us, let us be wise, let us bring up wise children, let us sit down and have the conversation with our children. As we said in the book of Deuteronomy, we say we must sit down and talk to them. Okay? Let us sit down, talk to our children when they lie down and when they get up, when they are on, when anywhere, write the rules, write the laws, write the direction, the guidance, write it, sit down and talk to them, have a conversation. Tablets can't let it, don't allow the tablets, or the baby quiet, because I just give them in tablets, so the tablet is now the babysitter, or the TV is the babysitter, or the phone. Not good enough. Let us sit down and have this conversation with our children, because if we don't have it with them, somebody else is going to have it with them. And there are people from different other religions and so on who are having these conversations that we ought to be having. So I'm encouraging us this afternoon. Let us raise sensible children so the hard work that we put in on the land and the house we build, we can leave it and lie down our graves contented, knowing we have left what we have for sensible children. Encouraging you, please remember, if you want to get a title, just send me a text message, 387-3183. All you have to say is title. Just put title and send it to 876-387-3183. And remember, you can give me a call, 908-1950 in my office, or 908-3580. Or just look up for Gloria Brown, or for Calicia Finley, or for Brown Finley and Company. We are in Winchester Business Center in Harbour Tree, or in Ocherus in the Jamaica National Building. We'll be glad to help you with anything land related. As I said before, I'm Gloria Brown. Thanks to Dervan. Thanks to Adrian. Look forward to sharing again with you next week, Monday, on Land Solutions. Have a good day.
Protecting Jamaica's borders from illicit imports and exports is a key priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
3:30. Supreme Real Estate, licensed real estate dealers. The experts in residential, commercial, industrial, hotels, and villa sales, rentals, and leases. Supreme Real Estate, Main Street, Salem, Runaway Bay, St. Anne. Call 876-973-5026 or 876-973-6142 and email supremerealestate@cwjamaica.com.
At Compassionate Care Medical Center, they offer and promote excellent patient care, laboratory and customer service at affordable prices. They also offer DNA testing. See their general practitioner, OBGYN, and physiotherapist. Compassionate Care Medical Center, Shop 6, Pathfinder Plaza, 2 West Henderson Boulevard, Greater Baltimore. Call 876-627-5466 or 876-870-9604.
It's that time again for the greatest show on earth. The world pauses for the global spectacle that is FIFA World Cup. 32 of the world's best national football teams will converge in the Middle Eastern nation of Qatar from November 20 to December 18. Tune into Power Play for the 2022 FIFA World Cup Roundup segment, Mondays to Fridays, 6:10 to 6:30 p.m. Brought to you by P&D Williams Heavy Equipment Limited.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, as if you needed a reminder. And Christmas coming, Alton Ellis tells us. And we thank you very much for joining us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112 to 5, 876-922-4112 to 5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well. That number is 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. James in East London has sent us the usual collection of stories out of the UK. Thank you very much, James in East London. He says, well, these are not his words, but the stories: a senior police officer has called for reform of gender-based violence investigations and admitted women have been systematically failed by the criminal justice system. Standards Chief Andy Marsh has called for a new code of practice for the policing of violence against women and girls. Mr. Marsh, who is the chief executive of the College of Policing, said the bond of trust between women and the police must be mended. Also making the news in the UK, twice deported Albanian migrant uses child he had with British woman, and you can cause your imagination to take you, to transport you to such a place, to have an idea of what that's about. Armed police raid North London building and arrest man for immigration offenses. Rest in peace, my beautiful angel. You were taken away too soon. I miss you forever and always. You're my whole world. The two teenage boys who were stabbed to death just 1 mile away from each other have been named. Their identities have come as police confirm their tragic deaths are linked. These stabbings in the UK continue. Prince Harry's ex-lover opens up. He's giving her passionate kiss. Oh dear. A firefighter says his life was ruined by racist abuse at the disgraced London Brigade, calling it pure hell. Donovan Sampleton, 46, said a damning report calling it institutionally racist and sexist was the tip of the iceberg. Boxer Reese Newcomb, 31, had previously helped to train ex-Arsenal footballer Ian Wright for a charity match He was named as the man who died after being stabbed on Richmond Bridge. A dad who was killed after being stabbed with a shard of glass in the capital has been revealed as a friend of ex-footballer Ian Wright. BBC journalist arrested and beaten while covering China. I think the protests in China. A BBC journalist was assaulted and detained for hours by Chinese police while covering a protest in Shanghai, the broadcaster has said. Reporter Ed Lawrence was arrested and handcuffed before allegedly being beaten and kicked by officers while covering mass protests in Shanghai, one of a number of Chinese cities that have seen unrest flare in recent days over stringent COVID restrictions following a deadly fire in the country's far west. Police treating both incidents in which two 16-year-olds died in Thamesmead and Abbeywood as linked. A teenager has been arrested over the fatal stabbings of two 16-year-old boys. What is it with the UK and stabbings? Goodness. Staff at the National Health Service, NHS, the BBC, and at least 5 police forces have raised serious concerns with the way they're being treated, a lawyer who reviewed the culture of London Fire Brigade has said. A 78-year-old man has died following a hit and run in South London. Police rushed to Courtney Road in North Cheam following reports of a collision between a car and a pedestrian at 6:18 p.m. on Thursday. They're having road safety issues too. Just Stop Oil supporters have again caused traffic disruption in London after police pledged they were fully prepared to deal with the group's protest plans in the run-up to Christmas. Protesters walked slowly along Shepherd's Bush Green, West London, at around 8 a.m. and also blocked traffic in Aldwych, Central London. Thank you, James, in East London, for the usual roundup of stories coming out of the UK. Here's another message. BL in Canada says, I would appreciate if you would circulate the Commonwealth Scholarship below within your networks. It refers to a fully funded scholarship to study the MSc in Urban Planning program at Newcastle University, UK. Tuition fee, living expenses, and return airfare for September 2023 entry. Commonwealth Shared Scholarships 2023 entry, MSc Urban Planning. The application system opens for candidate applications on the 3rd of November 2022. Well, they've been open and will close at 1600 hours Greenwich Mean Time. And that's going to be on December 13. So that's it. Is that 11 o'clock? 11 o'clock on the 13th of December. More details, including eligibility and requirements, are available at cscuk.fcdo.gov.uk. Just Google Commonwealth Scholarship and all the information will come up. The scholarship is available to residents of the following Commonwealth member states, which includes Jamaica. So you can check that out. Another message here, ask the JLP and its supporters like Keith Duncan and Don Webby the classified documents taken from Pernell Charles's home during the 1976 state of emergency. Where did he get them from? Not even Prime Minister Manley at the time ought to have those documents at his home. From Jax in Jacksonville. Jax in Jacksonville, where is that information taken from? We know there have been a couple of publications and there's data in the archives as well. But what is the What's the gravamen of this information? And why should we pay attention to this information at this point in time? Please tell us, Jax in Jacksonville. And is that Jacksonville in Florida? Let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Still have more messages to clear. Let's hop across to Facebook Live and see what we find here. Let's check out these messages over on Facebook Live. Good afternoon to Velta Wilson in St. Thomas. Joan Edgehill says, good afternoon and greetings from Central Florida to you and all your listeners. Thank you very much, Joan Edgehill. Inez Ayona Campbell says, a pleasant Monday, everyone. To you too, Inez Ayona Campbell. Faye Weller says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan and listeners. I'm here listening. Thanks for tuning in, Faye Weller. And there are others joining in. There are some other messages we missed earlier on as well. Let's see. Steve in Toronto, Canada says, hi, Dervan. I guess by now you would have heard the terrible news from Qatar. Canada has left the competition, which has now created uncertainty with the competition. The other teams are just going through the motions at this time. Well, first time I'm seeing this information here, Steve. Maybe you can help us by directing us to the source of your information. Let's see. He says, I thought Rabalak was your team. Well, I can understand you backing away from them. Are they still in Manning Cup? No, I can't erase or isolate myself from the school I attended, Steve McDonald. How could I do that? Couldn't. Absolutely not. That goes without saying. Norman Hines says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan, Malcolm, and listeners. Good afternoon, Norman Hines. Andrew Lyons says, good afternoon, sir. Can you tell why the wicked, desperate PNP go against the wishes of the Jamaican people? Talking about the state of emergency. These people talk about human rights when Bunting and the rest did take. Let's jump over the rest of that. Protecting the so-called constitution right of the Jamaican people. Well, we can't have it both ways, Andrew Lyons. We're a country of laws. We have a constitution. And whether you like the opposition or not, the opposition is a key part of the system of governance in this country. It's just a fact of life. It's not what you like or don't like or who you like or who you don't like. If you have fundamental differences on constitutional matters, then there are channels you can use, like a petition to Jamaica House, for example. But the system of government is what we have. And until that is changed, that's what we have.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45. Need water for agricultural purposes? Apply to the National Irrigation Commission for your irrigation services. Let's grow smart and eat smart with irrigated agriculture. Call National Irrigation Commission at 876-927-6727. Visit their website at www.nicjamaica.com or visit any of their office locations today. Irrigation, making the difference in agriculture.
Farmers, come for a candid conversation with the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. Learn more about the agricultural sector and the role we all play with its development. That's a Morning with the Minister, every second and fourth Friday of every month during Farm Talk with Alfie McKenzie, right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Good afternoon, Chensu Cheryl. Thank you for tuning in. Wishing you a week of blessings as well. Thank you very much. Charlene Kelly says, pleasant afternoon, Sir Malcolm. Not hearing so clearly. Wishing you a great week. Hope the listenership or the broadcast that you've been listening to has gotten better since the last time you checked. Thank you very much. Let's keep it going. A few more messages to clear for those who were on YouTube. Where's YouTube? Over on YouTube, there were a few messages that came in. Let's see, here we go. From James Edwards. He says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. Blessing to all. To you too, James Edwards. Asher Ash in London, England says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. London calling. Have a nice day. Same to you, Asher Ash. Mitzi Malcolm says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Blessings to you. To you too. Thank you very much for watching and listening here on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Poro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Latest, Portugal versus Uruguay. Portugal won, Uruguay nil, with 89 minutes gone in that game so far. Portugal won, Uruguay nil. Right, so that's the score. Portugal won, Uruguay nil. And Cameroon and Serbia drew 3-3. That was quite entertaining. So too, the Ghana versus South Korea encounter. That was quite entertaining as well. 3-2 to Ghana. Ghana beat South Korea by 3-2. And then we had Brazil blanking Switzerland 1-0. So the Brazilian train rolls on. And we wish them well, especially those who have now acquired Brazilian citizenship, and those who have been able to produce so many Brazil shirts. Everywhere you go, someone is wearing a Brazil shirt. Never seen so many Brazil shirts in a while. Haven't seen so many Brazilian shirts in a while. But so it is. So those are just some of the scores. I think we have covered most of, if not all of the matches today. I think we have. Hold on, let's see here. So we had, oh no, that's tomorrow. So the games coming up tomorrow, Ecuador versus Senegal at 10. Netherlands versus Qatar at 10. Wales versus England at 2. And Iran versus the United States also at 2 p.m. We wish them all well. We wish them well. Errol Cross, good to see you online. Good day to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's good to have you on board. And I see Sean. Sean is online. Hi, Sean. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Uncle Dervan. How are you?
I am fine, thanks. And you?
I'm great so far. All your calling say hi to you. You're Mr. Intellectual and Mr. Educator, and you're Mr. Teacher.
Thank you very much. That's it?
Yeah. Yes, I'm a brilliant guy, you know, Uncle Dervan. I'm a very smart guy.
You shouldn't have to say that about yourself, though. Leave that to the rest of us.
Why?
Well, if you want to affirm in that way, then by all means. But you shouldn't have to tell us you're brilliant.
Yeah.
That should be easily discernible.
Repeat that.
That should be easily discernible. You don't have to tell us that.
Yes.
Mhm. But if you are saying it as an affirmation, then so be it. All right, have fun with the children. Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. Let's give you a quick update on a couple of the stories trending on the Gleaners website at this time. Inclement weather, and that's how the word is pronounced, by the way, not inclement. Not inclement weather, but inclement weather. Inclement weather. Inclement weather forces school closure, disrupts water and electricity in Trinidad. Well, we just had a report out of Barbados preparing us for wet weather in December. Don't know if you heard that on the news, but I heard it. Inclement weather forces school closure, disrupts water and electricity in Trinidad. And you should see the water. Officials have warned that river levels are likely to continue rising. It's frightening looking at the pictures here. Heavy rains Monday forced the closure of schools and cut electricity and water supplies to parts of Trinidad and Tobago. Officials have warned that river levels are likely to continue rising. Local government minister Faris Al-Rahi told a news conference that the mission right now is to ensure that we don't have loss of lives and that we mitigate or make better the situation with what we can. Al-Rahi said Trinidad and Tobago had 5 days of significant weather and urged people to be extremely careful. Over to our friends in Trinidad and Tobago, sweet TNT. Please be safe. Take all the necessary precautions and all the very best. New York gunman pleads guilty in racist supermarket massacre. And this was in Buffalo. The white gunman who massacred 10 black shoppers and workers at a Buffalo supermarket pleaded guilty today to murder and hate-motivated terrorism charges, guaranteeing he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Let's go to the phone lines, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon, Mr. Coombs.
Yeah, I never remember to tell you that when big you told me big up Jesse for the reason why me big you. I called the idea and you like how you pepper man. Because him don't want what you want to hear, you never want I accommodate him and I like how you pepper man. It's only when you tell big bad with them. When you tell them not to hot pepper or burn more, you tell them big bad with them. Number 2, you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
I called Miss Brown a week then we talked to her because me number come, nobody have something, me no fool, you know.
No. They don't have your number. I can give you the number for Miss. You have the number for Miss Brown?
No. When you ready today?
Yeah, tell me. Well, I can give you her number. She'll be happy to take your call.
I have her number. I want to talk to you. I know what me and the encouragement when given that parents must show children where they born to is my father. My about 16 I call and him by them peace. And when the survey is supposed to come on that day, none of the children go to school, you know. I always chop out survey place and thing. One time a survey come there. So in by the and the back part, but you have to cut that survey truck, give the person up by the back. The survey man you must have become. So the survey truck is supposed to be 6 feet wide. So me supposed to be 6 feet wide. Him say, a mule dog take your hamper. But the mule, bigger mule long, the hamper and the two hamper and the mule is not 6 feet wide. So you have a clear passage that the hamper don't buck up on the tree or nothing. So any tree in the way, you cut it down. You don't know that.
No,
When you see your balance, you're not so you could know that.
you're right.
Your balance, so
Just after Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock at Victoria Jubilee Hospital.
you will thank God for that. So, Mr. We can tell my father, say, Mr. Combs. And he said, Daddy Combs, you see that young boy, he's smart, you know. Himself, what me do? He asked himself, me do, he said, question him about, I question him about why you do that, why, and he explained to me.
So you were a curious young man, and you're still curious, even at your ripe young age.
Thank God, and when you have him care with the compass and you go the road,
Yes.
he never take no time to survey. So my they carry down.
So you used to be a land surveyor as well?
Who me?
Ah,
No, when you go by bush, you know, so me carry the far from the road.
oh,
So me help him carry the compass.
I understand now.
So my what car, you know, I can't find you over. You car, you know, what car, you know, ham.
Ham?
Yeah, ham sandwich.
Oh,
And carry really, but because it's so early, you know. And give me 2 sandwiches, you know, you have a sandwich before me 10 years, but me don't know, so I like it. Said my government said it 2 ham nice, man. The man is alright, because I'm a go early, you know. I can't have it, you know.
well, it's that time of year again for ham. So if you're allowed to enjoy.
Supposed to eat pork, but my tradition, don't supposed to eat pork, but when next time.
So you didn't know it was pork you were being fed?
No, I have idea, you know, but because we find and, you know, Lego like here, when we say Lego, you know,
Yes.
it won't process.
Oh,
Yeah. But anytime, maybe when there's a square boat, my father will eat it pork, but when next time, if you want to talk to you.
I look forward to that next time.
Thank you. Tomorrow we live.
Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello,
Hello, Brother Dervan.
this is Dervan. Good afternoon. How are you?
Dervan.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Sterling from Centon.
Sterling from St. Anne. Thank you very much for calling. What's on your mind this afternoon?
About the crime, Brother Dervan.
What about it?
You say,
I hope you're not being confused by your radio or whichever device you have in the background, because I'm hearing a repetition.
all right, I'll turn it off. Yes, Brother Dervan.
Yes.
You know, say, you therapy, them not going nothing, Brother Dervan.
The authority. Which authority now?
Both the police and the government.
They're not going on with anything. What would they need to do to convince you that they're going on with something? And not just anything, but something progressive, something good, something worthwhile, something beneficial to the people and the country.
All right. Them I go have the habit in the plan to with them call it
The state of public emergency.
that's right. And them I go have it today, then tell you before. Then I run with man, then go to some tears, man.
Oh, hold on, don't move. One moment, please.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock.
Thanks a lot for staying with us on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM. Que hora es en español? Son las 4. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4 heures. 现在几点了？4点. 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Good afternoon to all the schoolers listening to us, all the students from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning today. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable, education makes you trainable, training makes you employable, and the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Let's continue the conversation. So you're saying that about letting people go. What were you saying?
No, them know that them are go a state of emergency and then start before they go in.
Oh, you think they need to surprise? They need to surprise us.
All right. Me have a try to catch you. You may have to let them come hold you.
Yes.
You can't make them know them come take you.
But what they usually do, they usually go in under the cover of darkness, and usually in the wee hours of the morning, sometime after midnight, and they take up their positions, because that's the first thing. They have to secure the place. So they take up their strategic positions, and then by daybreak, we get news that a state of public emergency has been declared in this area or that area. So it's not that they tell them, but speculation is rife that there are people in the JDF and the JCF who, as my late mother would say, them mouth enough for them. And so they readily and quickly and easily and freely discharge that kind of information, disperse that information. So there is that too.
Yes, when you have one thing, man, you don't do it, you know, make somebody know what go on, and you will catch them.
Yes.
You catch them. Plenty of the police then in their ranks, you know.
Well, I hear a theory, not for the first time, that when we have Olympics and when we have World Cup football, the crime rate goes down because even the gunman them love football and this and that and what have you. But I'm thinking, if we have scientific evidence of that, then why aren't we using that in our favor? It seems to me their guard is down right now in the midst of all the excitement, especially the Brazilian excitement. And now would be a good time to catch them at unawares, since their eyes are buried in the TV screens and this and that. So, but to just tell us that it usually happens that when we have a major sporting event like World Cup football or Olympics, etc., crime rate goes down. Where is the scientific data to back that up? And if there is such data, can we use it then to our benefit as a people?
That's right. Use it, and then we will see if you're doing anything that is good. You must can work your things to capture him and the man.
Yes, Jamaica. Yeah, Jamaica is not that big a country where why we have had to struggle for so many years to bring lawlessness to lawfulness.
That's right.
Yeah.
But one at the time, you see them, they have some young member and police commissioner go to them a cry peace. And when I tell you, I look out for me, you know.
Oh yes, that was in Julian Robinson's constituency.
That's right.
Yes, there was. Yeah. Well, that died a natural death eventually, but I was not pleased with this business of going to settle any peace with gunmen, as opposed to bringing them in. If you're going to that, if you're going to a place to meet these so-called gunmen, then it must be to bring them in. It can't be to shake their hands, as was said in that clip on TV. It was on TV as well. Julian Robinson was interviewed and he talked about it. Yes.
And the police, them I say they know them.
This is it.
Why they can't catch them?
Yeah. Well, they what they have to do is to the hope, because just the other day we were mentioning it again, that we have a fundamental problem with what is called net fishing as opposed to spear fishing. In other words, let us do our homework. Let us do our reconnaissance. Let us do or surveillance. Let us do our investigations. And when we have sufficient evidence, let us go for who we need to go for and bring them before a court of law. That's what we need to do, as opposed to just casting our net and we scrape up everybody, including those who perhaps have never stepped on an ant before, and turn them into criminals within a year or two. Yeah, we have to be more strategic than that. We have to be more scientific than that.
Yes.
We have to be more deliberate in a good way than that.
True, sir.
Yes.
True. Well, brother, when you take care of yourself, you have to look out them, see wicked, them, see you like where you keep it up.
Thank you for the call.
Yes, you take care of yourself, sir.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. A couple of reminders, and we have to be so careful how much of this information we give out as well, because then we can be preempted. The police are encouraging commuters and transport operators to heighten their security awareness as the Yuletide season approaches. The police say members of the public should adopt safe practices as they traverse the nation's streets to conduct business. Additionally, members of the public are urged to obey road signs and markings in order to reduce or eliminate road crashes and fatalities. When taking public transportation, especially taxis, always remember the license plate, color, and make of the vehicle. So before we jump, and I've seen people just jump into taxis. The taxi can hardly stop, or it hardly makes a stop or comes to a stop, and everybody's jumping in and they don't know what they're jumping into. So when taking public transportation, especially taxis, always remember the license plate. Take note of the registration plates. Write down the information. Take a picture of the registration plate. Take a picture of the vehicle itself. What color vehicle? Memorize the color vehicle. And what make? What kind of vehicle? Is it a Toyota? Is it a Porsche? That's the name of the vehicle, Porsche. And always inform someone. No, that's the correct pronunciation, listeners. Some people tend to say Porsche. No, it's Porsche. That's the correct pronunciation for that make vehicle. Always inform someone you trust about boarding a taxi. So if you're a little uncertain or unfamiliar with a particular driver, you might want to just let somebody know. Send them a text message, a WhatsApp message. I mean, you do it for everything else. Send them a text message, a WhatsApp message. I'm in taxi registration, or well, you would have taken a picture of it, so you don't need to say what it is, and upload and send it to your loved one or loved ones. Be wary of drivers who ask you to divert from planned routes. Like I was hearing about this one in Montego Bay, where the taxi got to a point where only one other individual was in the vehicle, and it was a female. And he supposedly said to her, you know, me always pick up a lady up here, sir, but she running a little late. But going up your way still, you know. You can just hang on for a few minutes. And the woman waited until it got dark. And unfortunately, she was sexually assaulted by the taxi operator. So be wary of those things. So you work with your plan. Don't allow anybody to take you off your route or your planned area. Be wary of drivers who ask you to divert from planned routes. Taxi drivers are also being warned to be alert and look out for criminals who pose as passengers. Look out for criminals posing as passengers. Avoid, and we're not saying you're to engage in profiling, to the point where somebody on the taxi has to say, wait, oh, you're pre-me, sir. Oh, you're pre-man, sir. No, not to that extent. But just to be as discerning as you can. So be alert. Look out for criminals who pose as passengers. Avoid carrying groups of men and be wary of passengers who ask you to divert. Right. So, for example, you're a female and a taxi stops. You go up to that vehicle and you see 5 men in the vehicle, or 4 men in the vehicle, or 3 men in the vehicle. Go and take another vehicle. See if you can find one with at least another female. Do not drink and drive. How many times do we have to tell you that? Do not drink and drive. If you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink. Have a designated driver when you attend events. I mean, why would I want to be drunk, though? Why would anybody want to be drunk? You're going to miss everything if you're drunk. You're not even going to remember what you did and what you said or how you behaved. You would have missed all of the action. So stay sober so you don't miss anything. Do not drink and drive. Have a designated driver when you attend events in case you consume excessive alcohol, in case you imbibe too much. Also ensure your vehicles are properly secured at these events. Some of us are so anxious to get into the session and the party and whatever other space that they forget to properly secure their vehicles. Obey the road code when traveling. Motor vehicle crashes. Listeners, come on now. You're earning your good money to try and treat yourself or give your house a little makeover or to treat your children or to give away something to the children's home near in your community or whatever. And you go on the road and you behave recklessly and you're involved in a crash or a collision, you now have to take that money that you had planned for other things to go fix somebody else's vehicle or whatever. Why? I don't know. I don't love problems that much. I'm always trying to avoid problems. I am prepared to drive as slowly as I need to. I am not to the point where I get hauled off the road for loitering, but I'm just saying the safest way to traverse our roadways is not to be in a hurry. Do not be in a hurry. That's the safest way to get around. Don't be in a hurry. If you get in a hurry, you're going to get in a what you call it? You're going to get into a state of anxiety, and you're going to want to cuss people and not paying attention, and you're distracted, and it leads to crashes and collisions and so on. So please, let's remain sober. And when we speak of being sober, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with alcohol. It just means keep your eyes wide open. Do not be distracted. Have you ever wondered or what we used to do before cell phones when we are gone for hours and family members haven't heard from us because there was no such thing called cell phone? And God bless the 1 or 2 places you could stop and say, can I beg you a phone call? We had to wait until we heard from the loved ones. Mind you, in this day and age, we try to be proactive, so we want to call ahead. But if we have to use the phone, pull off the road in a legal way, in a safe area, both in terms of the legality of the stop and in terms of the nature of that area, whether the sidewalk is painted yellow, which means no stopping, etc., etc. Where are we? Time for another break. Let's go to the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 4:15.
Are you in the manufacturing and distribution sector having trouble finding quality heavy-duty equipment for your daily operations? Well, look no further. Robinson's Forklift Repairs and Services is here to help. They specialize in rentals, repairs and servicing, and the sale of new and used forklifts ranging from 2.5 to 18 tons. They also have skid steers, backhoes, and wrecking services available. Their experienced staff is ready to serve you. Visit 19 Retirement Crescent or call 876-754-4712.
Both sides of a story. You have a title for your land? Are you thinking about buying or selling land? How much is your property worth? Tune in to Both Sides of the Story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM every last Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. for The MLA and You, a program that examines the National Land Agency's role in building an efficient and transparent land titling system for Jamaicans. That's The MLA and You on Both Sides of the Story with Dervan Malcolm every last Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. The National Land Agency, one agency committed to serve you better.
Que hora es en español? Son las 4:17. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:17. 现在几点了？10点17分。17 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? If not, now is a good time. Good afternoon to all the schoolers listening to us, all the students from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable. Education makes you trainable. Training makes you employable. And the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Good afternoon to Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine, shouting out the world as usual. Welcome, Ricardo. Let's see who else is here. Andrew. What's Andrew saying now? Mr. Malcolm, do you honestly think if the slave in Jamaica didn't pick up against the British, do you think slavery would come to an end? What do you think in today's Jamaica? Today, I think that would be an option to go against anyone or group in any country who defend the criminal. And listen, people have rights. And we know with rights come responsibilities. Every individual has a right to have his or her day in court. Even the man with the smoking gun has a right to be heard in a court of law. It's just a fact of life. It's just a fact of life. And this business about who is defending criminals. Now, we would expect law-abiding Jamaican citizens to defend what is right. And if they have or are in the company of those who are wanted for crimes committed, we would hope that as Jamaican citizens, honest Jamaican citizens, we will share such information. But in terms of defense, everybody has the right to a defense, the right to a lawyer, etc., etc., etc. It's a fact of life. That is the system of government, of well, in particular, the arm of the judiciary, the court system. That's how it is. That's how it is. Otherwise, imagine how much injustice would be meted out to some of us if we didn't have such a system. Every life matters. Every single one. If people take on the security forces have a duty, well, first of all, to protect life and limb, and to secure the peaceful existence of the rest of us. Anyway, the rest of this message. Option against one or group in any corner of Jamaica who defend criminal, and I and you know the people who defend criminal. Do you think we should go after them on behalf of the law-abiding citizens of Jamaica? By all means, we should continue to lawfully pursue those who are making our lives miserable as far as antisocial behavior is concerned. By all means, we must continue the lawful pursuit of those who are engaging in nefarious activities. They mean us no good. We must gather the evidence against them, continue to do surveillance, infiltrate certain gangs, and find other ways to undermine this underworld for a better Jamaica. But we don't break the law. We're not into the business of supporting breaking the law in order to enforce the law. We can do much better than that. Good afternoon, Cherry Henry. Thank you very much for your message. Let's go back to the phone lines, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan.
Good afternoon.
I'm wondering if I heard correctly over the media since morning that there's a program out about using animals for therapy for children. Did I hear that right?
Yes, that has been the news for over a week now. There's a dog who is even referred to as Doctor.
Okay.
That is supposed to assist in a therapeutic way by virtue of engaging with the children of I would imagine of a certain age.
Yeah,
That
not necessarily handicapped children.
no. In fact, we don't use that word handicap anymore.
No. Well,
Yes.
you have to allow me.
Yes.
That's how it comes out.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good. I know the value of it with animals, particularly horses.
Oh.
Many other horses are good at that too. That is why you see some people build a strong relationship with them, and they're good to upper healing. It's transfer of energy. You can't see it. It's a transfer of energy.
Oh, okay.
You can't see it or feel it, but it happens.
Yes. In fact, I remember during the funeral, all the funeral rites being performed in the UK with the passing of Queen Elizabeth. And her horse was held in position, stood in a particular position. And when I think it was the carriage that was passing with her her remains, that the horse actually bowed.
There we go.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching it on TV.
Well trained fella. Well, it's a little different. It's probably real.
Indeed. And I'm a fan of the dogs as well. They're very smart, especially if you train them. I mean, with or without training, they're smart.
Yeah, most animals are, dogs, horses, whatever. Little hamsters, things like that. But you have to know to channel the energy,
Mhm.
whether out or in. Right.
Good point.
Is this program being rolled out by the Ministry of Health?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Does the minister know the value or the therapeutic value of human beings to be in a body of water, in particular seawater, but they have some other places in rivers or water from the mountains that are very therapeutic.
Yes, indeed.
I'm surprised.
There's. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not looking at that, because all you hear is that the general public, ordinary person, are being excluded from the beaches based on the activities that are taking place.
You know, the first time I heard that I went to check it out for myself, and I would encourage you, if you're able to go to the NEPA website, the National Environmental Planning Agency. If you Google NEPA Beaches Jamaica, you can see all the public beaches in Jamaica right around the island.
Yeah. All right, I'll have a look, but
I mean, you can always advocate for more, but I'm just saying they ring the country.
Well, I have an experience along the North Coast. Which I used to travel in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Along there.
What happened?
And over, I used to be going out to Montego Bay or going out to South. When I took the South Coast.
The South Coast Express. Was it?
Man, I drive.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to leave Mandeville early in the morning after coffee or a quick breakfast. And then I would stop at the beach for 40 minutes or so, get back in my stuff and get down to South.
Wow.
So I enjoy those things.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, when you're regularly in a vehicle and doing a certain number of miles, it's a good recharge.
Oh.
Right? But on the North Coast now, a lot of beaches that day you could just park the car, jump off and go have a swim and get back in. Over a period of time when you look at all fenced off, right? And access is not easy access to them, or some of them have developed to the extent that the ordinary person can't afford to utilize them.
Well, what we would suggest humbly is that the political representatives in these areas where it is felt that there is some threat of a loss of a beach in the community is on the cards. The people have to respond. People can't allow that.
There was a hell of a thing going on at Discovery Day.
I remember that. We were a part of it because we facilitated interviews on this program on that subject.
I used to coordinate that and I was passed on.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man. Auburn, I think her name is.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man, she passed on either early this year or late last year.
I had no idea. She gave me a copy of one of her books. I've interviewed her a few times as well. I'm sorry to hear that.
If I know where to find you, I'll probably beg you to read. Because she had promised me to come and look at some of the books she had there.
Well, let me see what I can do. When I get home, I'll check my little home library and see what I can.
You usually speak on the phone and you encourage her with certain points.
Yes, I'm sorry to hear she died.
At Puerto Chico, there were 4 little beach areas there. And there's a certain organization that was trying to gobble them up and in so doing excluding the general public.
Yes. Yeah, we have to.
By route of the development.
Sorry, don't move. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
Farmers, come for a candid
many more?
conversation with the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the
Oh.
Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. Learn more about the agricultural sector and the role we all play with its development. That's a Morning with the Minister, every second and fourth Friday of every month during Farm Talk with Alfie McKenzie, right here on Power 106 FM.
Power 106 FM celebrates a milestone this December. 30 years and going strong. It is our Pearl Jubilee. From our shores to foreign lands, from hurricanes to floods, from music to talk, from sporting events to the country's Diamond Jubilee, and every celebration and activity in between, we have covered it all. Power 106 FM, a pearl in Jamaican radio. 30 years of service to our nation. Let's celebrate together.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5:29. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5:29. 现在几点了？5点加29分。29, well, it just changed to 28 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, taking your calls on 876-922-411225. Thanks for holding. Something that we've not been as mindful of as we need to in a practical way is that there can be no development, much less sustainable development, without the people's involvement.
Yeah, and access.
And access, absolutely.
Access at the level there too.
Absolutely.
When you develop a thing, even if you're trying to attract foreign investment or high-powered investment to generate a certain revenue or whatever, you still have to strategize it so that the man off the street or come off the hill and come down, get to swim and go back.
Yes.
Where it's coming from. And I don't know if you're a beach person.
Oh, I love the beach.
I'm sure everyone can speak to the calmness you get for spending a couple of hours on the beach, particularly early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And with the level of violence, particularly amongst youngsters.
We need all the reliefs, all the moments of relief we can get.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're promoting that.
Yeah.
So if they're listening from that minister there, they need to look at that too. I mean, the minister of tourism is doing their thing and TPD is doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the minister of health,
Yes.
we need to crack in there. But, and the way I see it, there's an opportunity to build out an industry that supports tourism.
Yes.
Because tourism should be on the pillars of sport
Mm-hmm.
and wellness.
Yeah, that's right. Agreed.
Come on, and then two will hold it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because even sport in itself,
Yes.
the participation that the youngsters,
Yes.
when they can pick up the energy,
Mm-hmm.
calm themselves down,
Yes.
and be loving and kind to the brethren, and that them just beat up too
Mhm.
long.
Yeah. 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 That's that kind of indoctrination in a good way is priceless from an early stage. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
All right, I leave it to others to follow up on it.
Sure. Thank you very much for the call. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Let's see what we have here now. Let's hop over to YouTube. And Keith Sampson says, Mr. Malcolm, you speak Jamaican perfectly. You're very kind. I love hearing you speak the latest version of the language. Oh yeah, pre-man, so I love it. One of my favorite things about Jamaica is our language. You better believe it. We create a new word every day. Well, at least one word, but no doubt multiples. Portugal beat Uruguay 2-0. If you're just tuning in from somewhere, if you were fast asleep and missed Brazil, who did Brazil beat again? Brazil versus. You see what happens sometimes when you watch 3 different matches. You're trying to remember now who played who. Anyway, Portugal 2, Uruguay 0, full-time score. Bruno Fernandes scored in the 54th and 90th minute. 54th minute and the 90th. It was a penalty kick in 3 minutes into stoppage time. And Guerrero assisted that 54th minute goal. We wish them well. And let's go now to a bit of history here on your program. Both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. And let's see, what shall we share with you this time around? Let's go down the line here and see what we find. 1939. The inventor of the sport of basketball died on this day in 1939. James A. Naismith, Naismith. James A. Naismith, the inventor of the sport of basketball, died on this day in 1939. He was a Canadian and American sports coach and innovator. He invented the sport of basketball in 1891. 1940, Martin Smith, a reporter on the staff of the Daily Gleaner who visited Labour leader Alexander Bustamante at Up Park Camp in St. Andrew, where he was placed under detention since September 8, informed readers that the President General of the trade union, which bears his name, had grown a mustache. He also reported that Bustamante and the other detainees were required to chop wood, weed grass, and do their own cooking. Smith noted that Bustamante was versed in the art of cooking, as during his long sojourn in Spain, he held top jobs catering in some of the most fashionable hotels there. Let's see, another one for you. Let's go down the line. Good afternoon to the great Alma Makien. Here's a bit of history for you, Ms. Makien. 1964, the Alma Makien Company of Dancers staged their first major recital at the Ward Theatre on this day in 1964. The company, which was 3 years old at the time, staged 2 previous mini presentations at Alma Makien's studio on Harbour Drive in Harbourview. Among her dancers at this show were Antoinette Young. Did she eventually become Antoinette Steins? Doreen Simpson and Marjorie Salmon, who had just completed a summer workshop training with Martha Graham in New York. Noel Anthony Hall was assisting Alma Makien with choreography. Let's go to 1971. The Anglican Church ordained the first 2 women as priests here in Jamaica. 1974, the Jamaica House Basic School was declared officially open by Prime Minister Michael Manley. The first principal was Mrs. Michael Orain. Manly announces that a daycare center is also to be constructed on the Jamaica House grounds. 1978, a shipment of 25,000 tons of alumina, the first of a 1 million ton contract with Venezuela, left Jamaica. The contract was worth 200 million US dollars. Did we at that time trade alumina for oil? I don't think so. It was straight cash. Let's see. 1980, Lloyd Gibson of Lloyd's Real Estate Agency was the first Jamaican brought back to the island through extradition proceedings from the USA to face trial in connection with down payments amounting to $250,000 on properties. The clients had been unable to obtain refunds or locate him. Gibson left Jamaica in January 1979 and had been lying in Fort Lauderdale, USA. And let's go to 1989. Confronted by the collapse of communist regimes in neighboring countries and growing protests in the streets, officials of the Czechoslovakian Communist Party announced that they would give up their monopoly on political power. Elections held the following month brought the first non-communist government to office in more than 40 years. 1990, Margaret Thatcher resigned as Prime Minister of Britain. John Major took over. And in 2010, WikiLeaks released to the public more than 250,000 US diplomatic cables. About 100,000 were marked secret or confidential. What a thing. Let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well. That number is 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. Let's check in with WhatsApp now. Let's see what's up on WhatsApp. Natalie Winter in Washington Gardens says, taking a football game, Dervan, Portugal versus Uruguay. Catch up later. From Natalie G. Winter in Washington Gardens. This was earlier. H. Morgan in Birmingham says, good day, Dervan. I wonder what agenda the PNP have to be blocking the SOE. Well, it's not a secret. H. Morgan in Birmingham, they have laid it out. They have said why. So it's no secret. It's no special agenda. They feel as the opposition, Her Majesty's, I beg your pardon, His Majesty's loyal opposition, they have to respond accordingly. They can't just fall in line. They have to scrutinize the nature and extent of this policy or this policy approach or policy decision or this choice. And then as a group, they have to decide whether, in their estimation, it is in the best interest of Jamaica. One moment, please.
Is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
Kingston Logistics Center, KLC, for faster, easier, smarter shipping and logistics. We help you send, ship, clear, and store barrels, containers, and vehicles. We sell used containers, service refrigerated containers, and customized container homes and offices. Hate the stress? Think KLC. 876-757-5358 or visit www.klclogisticsja.com or 146 First Street, Newport West. KLC, for faster, easier, smarter solutions. Tune in to Farm Talk every second and third Tuesday of each month at 6:18 a.m. for the feature High Pro Food Independence. High Pro Food Independence will focus on solutions for farmers, such as land, animal husbandry, agronomy, and more. That's High Pro Food Independence every second and third Tuesday from 6:18 to 6:30 a.m. during Farm Talk, only on Power 106 FM. High Pro Food Independence is sponsored by High Pro.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5 menos 14. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5 heures moins 14. 现在 TDN 了5点加14分. 14 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Well, just before we take more of your calls, can we finish this message from H. Morgan in Birmingham, saying now that if there is a measure in place to curb the dreadful crime in the country, why would they block it? But again, they have said why. And then they have also gone as far as to say to the government, you still have the authority to call another state of emergency. And if the extension of that one is not supported, you can call another one and call another one and call another one. So we're told. And then there are those who are saying something about states of emergency being unlawful. They are in the Constitution. It's in the Constitution. And the conditions under which. So there's nothing to stop a government from instituting a state of public emergency. For as long as it meets the criteria for such a state of emergency. But I've heard the opposition spokesman on national security saying it hasn't reached the threshold for a state of emergency to be called. Now the other question is, isn't it the prerogative of the national security apparatus of Jamaica to advise the Minister of Defense, who just happens to be the Prime Minister, to say, because personally, I always prefer to hear from the experts. So if you're an expert in national security, I want to hear from you. I want to hear whether all the elements, when you match what a state of public emergency is supposed to be with the state of lawfulness or lawlessness, does it weigh favorably in one direction or the other? In other words, it's really the security experts, the head of the army and the head of the police, and whichever other strategically employed national security expert to feed the Defense Council with the scientific data. And then the Prime Minister is the one who announces the state of emergency. But the way all of this has been going, it's almost as if it's the Prime Minister on his own who gets up and say, state of emergency, state of emergency, state of emergency. He can only say that, or should only be saying that, with the advice of the security team, the Defense Council. So that gets drawn into the partisanship, the partisan political struggle or fight or whatever it is. And so the question is, can both sides get together and arrive at some understanding as to the approach that we take going forward? It cannot be that we who have to be clamoring in fear, that we have a situation where we are fighting each other. We're supposed to be the law-abiding citizens, and we as law-abiding citizens are at each other's throat, while the gangsters are building. You know the expression, man a bill, you know? Just bill, man, just bill. So while they are building and forging partnerships as gangsters, we are busy at each other's throat. That's a part of the problem. There are some things, just as how we have both the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, because they are the two main political parties in this country, they have signed off on the approach that should be taken to fiscal policy in this country. So that has now been moved above the partisan political fray. And so we have to take national security to that level as well. And all the other key education must be taken to that level as well. So we understand that this one is non-negotiable. We are going to make decisions in the best interest of our people and our country. I've been talking a lot. Let's go back to the phone lines. Or did I finish the message? Is that it? I'm very perplexed. This may suggest they want to see the crime continue. Why would any party, whether you're in opposition or government, want to see crime continue? Why? Because any state the country is in right now, and anything that happens that seeks to undermine the state, it's not going to just die down. Whoever takes over, for argument's sake, whoever wins the next election has to deal with that, whether it's an incumbent or an opposition. So we better be careful how we engage in the tearing down of the institutions of this country that are supposed to mean something, supposed to be of value to us. Because it's the same country, whichever political party you support, it's the same Jamaica with the same resources, limited and otherwise. Same country. Just remember that. So it would suit us to work together. And it goes on, I'm very perplexed as to why an opposition would block a measure to take the out of control crime. Innocent children and citizens are being killed daily. Do they want this to continue? Well, this is what we're saying. The leadership of the country must be clear on both sides what we're really trying to achieve. But in the meantime, People are dying. Let's go to the phone lines. And we must at least be able to stop the bleeding. At least. And while we are working on stopping the bleeding, other plans must be rolled out now to say this is what is going to follow. Once we have stopped the bleeding, this is where we're going. I'm not saying this police and the army must tell everybody every time what they're doing. But the point is, the important thing, stop the bleeding. But we shouldn't stop there. We must now continue to ensure the total well-being and wellness of the patient. Jamaica. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Are you there? That person maybe got tired of holding. Sorry about that. Maybe I talked too much. 876-922-4112-5. The numbers to call. Here's another one. This is a press release from the Advocates Network. All right, we'll read it. SOE's concern about extension. That's the subject. All right, we'll have to read that one. But quickly, these are the WhatsApp messages. Thanks for reading my comment. I totally agree, but there seems to be staff turnover and lack of follow-up. It cannot be. All right. So this is someone who's trying to get in touch with the team at Land Solutions. Hold on. Let me forward it right away. Right away. Let me save you some time and energy. So here we go. Forwarding the message to lawyer number 1. And we're going to forward this message as well to lawyer number 2. How about that? Right. So your matters can be addressed. Oh, and we have to send the contact number of this person as well. So here we go. Share contact. Share. Where is share? Come on. All right. All right. This number is not saved. Okay. I see a response from one of the lawyers already. Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Monday to you and your listeners. Thank you very much, Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary. And this one, hi, Dervan, I'm in some trouble. Oh, this is for internal purposes. That is okay. All right. So we're being asked to mention that E&R Hardware is having a sale. The E&R Hardware is having a sale on all goods in store, including paints, toilets, doors, and tiles. The sale ends on December 10. That's from one of our sales reps here at Poro 106 FM. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Monday, the 28th of November, 2022. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on. Nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, both sides of the story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
Christmas tree, you know the Christmas tree, then you know the Christmas tree, and then, Christmas coming,
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible.
Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's News at 5.